Hey beauty babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, it is time for another beauty replay, and if you are new here, Beauty Replay is a series I do on my channel every month, recapping and essentially replaying all the new products that I tested out the month before. These videos are really helpful because in this video I can give you a more thorough updated review on these products after having actually tested them out for the full month. And I also do replay a clip of the product in action. Those clips tend to come from other videos that are already here on my channel, whether from first impressions videos or demos or just maybe videos maybe filmed for IGTV. I think I'm going to have a few videos in here from TikTok actually, because I was pretty active on TikTok this month and I didn't really get to film, like sit down and actually film here in my setup very much last month. So anyways, I will also probably have a lot of photos this month just because, like I said, filming was a little bit sparse last month. So anyways, if there are videos that are live on my channel, I will link those as usual. I also try to have everything listed and linked in the description box, as well as I have timestamps there. So if you want to kind of skip forward or skip around to the products you were most interested in hearing about, you can do that. I do have quite a bit of products to talk about this month, so let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so the first product I want to talk about is the Ulta Beauty Matte Eyeshadow Primer in the shade Nude. Now this is not like a new product whatsoever, but it is new to me, one that I tried out and tested out for the first time last month. This is an oil-free, fragrance-free, paraben-free eyeshadow primer, and the reason why I was testing this out last month is because I'm actually going to be doing a little makeup class here locally. It's not something that I am ever imagined I would actually do, but with a lot of coaxing and begging from my sister-in-law to do a class, I decided to do one. And in addition to teaching a class, I also want to be able to provide the products for people to use so everybody can be using the same thing and can be doing makeup in action as we go. At least that's what I'm hoping for this class. The class hasn't happened yet. It will be later this month. I'm really hoping it goes well. I'm a little bit nervous. Anyways, point being is that I wanted to provide an eyeshadow primer for everybody, and I wanted to find one that would be affordable or in the realm of affordability, but that would be really good as well as diverse, so that so that it would work for a variety of people, whether they were young or older or mature, whether they had dry eyelids or oily eyelids. So I was searching on the Ulta website and was looking in more the affordable, like lower priced eye primers, and then I came across this one. Now this one is a $12 eye primer, which is kind of, I feel like, a little bit more expensive than I had wanted to purchase, but then when I clicked on it to see, it said buy two get two free, which would have knocked it down to about $6, which was in the same price range as a lot of the drugstore primers, except for the thing that caught my attention with this is that it says nude, so it adds a little bit of a tint to it, like a nice base to your eyelids, and I was really intrigued by that. I did read a few of the reviews online, but I still wasn't sure, so I did go ahead and go to Facebook to Jen of Jen Loves Reviews makeup group, which is called What's Up in Makeup, and asked there for the collective brain to give me their opinions on this primer, and I got so many responses and comments, and pretty much I feel like I don't think I got anyone saying they didn't like this primer. Basically everyone who commented on there, and I think there was like at least 50 comments saying this was such a great primer. Some were saying it was a holy grail. Some were just people raved about this primer. And I specifically asked, like, you know, does this work for you if you have oily eyelids? Does it work for you if you have dry eyelids and stuff like that? I want to know that it would work for a variety of people. So I got so many comments from, a big variety of people, and it seemed like it worked for everybody across the board. Everybody recommended it, and so I was like, okay, cool. So I did go ahead and purchase it for my class, and also wanted to test it out myself to make sure. And I was a little bit nervous because I like kind of bit the bullet and purchased a bulk amount for the class, and just really hoped that the collective brain was correct. And anyways, I think it's really great. They were correct. I've been using it. I have drier eyelids. I really like it. I like that it has a little bit of that nude. It's kind of like this color. It adds some coverage for me, especially because I have dark, circles. So sometimes the transparent or sheer eye primers, they work, but I like to use them in conjunction with the concealer. But I've really been preferring to use primers that have a little bit of a tint to them. And so anyways, I've been using this and I really like it. So I am really excited to be using this for my class. Like I said, it's $12, so a little bit more of the expensive realm for an eyeshadow primer, I think, or maybe mid-tier, I guess. But like I said, if you can get in on their deals where they're buy two get two free, that makes it a little bit more worth it. And I know not everybody will want to purchase like 4 of a eyeshadow primer, but the thing about the Ulta Beauty deals, it's like their buy two get two free deal is not just for the same thing. So if you wanted, you can do like one of these and another of an Ulta product, and then you could get 2 other Ulta products for free. Generally, that's how it works if you're not familiar with it. So I think that's really cool. So I really like that. I know it's nothing new or nothing super exciting, but I just, if you were looking for a good eye primer, I've been really liking this. All right, next up, I wanted to talk about Coastal Scents, and I wanted to put this as one of the first things I talked about in this video because I feel like I owe a better thought process in the review of these products. And since my first impressions video, which if you haven't seen, of course, I'm going to link it, and I may put some footage here. I'm not sure if I'll do that video or the video, because I actually filmed this today using Coastal Scents eyeshadows, and so I may put some clips of that here. I'm not quite sure what you guys are going to see, but anyways, in my first impressions video, I had talked about I was pretty underwhelmed by their products and not like super impressed. Like I wasn't disappointed in them, but I just wasn't like really that impressed by them. And for me, I feel like that's the problem with doing first impressions. I personally don't love doing first impressions, but I will do them if I feel like I don't have very much time to film, which like I mentioned last month was really rough. I only had so much time to film, so I had to do a first impressions. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been able to use these products. But I kind of do wish I would have waited and then done a better video later. But anyways, the thing about first impressions is that they are just that. They're first impressions, and opinions can change. And I feel like in this circumstance, my opinion definitely has changed on the eyeshadows at least. Now, I wrote some notes so I don't get crazy off tangent. I just want to read that and then I'll talk maybe a little bit more in detail. But I wrote up concerning the eyeshadows that I find at least the matte shadows, they are quite nice. They are a little bit of a drier shadow, but they're not chalky, and I feel like they have a decent pigmentation, and especially for being cheap, they apply, blend, and show up quite nicely, especially when compared to another palette that I'm going to be talking about later on in this video that's higher end, and the quality is definitely chalky. But I'm not just saying they're nice just compared to that, but when I was really thinking about it and really taking time last month to really be playing with these shadows more, I found that I did really like them. I don't really have an issue with them. They are very affordable. I actually went ahead and purchased more of those shadows, not necessarily because I thought I would like them, but because around the time I uploaded my first impressions video, they were having a sale on their Hot Pots, which their Hot Pots are their single shadows, and I think that I think they're only like $3, but then they were like half off, so they were only $1.50. And I knew I wanted to purchase a few more colors, single shadows for my class, kind of, because I'm going to be teaching a little bit about color theory, and so I kind of wanted to do this little color, rainbow color wheel with eyeshadows. So I needed a few additional eyeshadow singles to make my little color theory palette work put together. So all of these except for this blue shade right here, this yellow shade right here, and then the black, brown, and gray and white in the middle. All the rest of the colors are from Coastal Scents, so I purchased those, and I figured, well, since I have these, I'll be able to play around with these and see if I can play around with the quality a little bit more, in addition to the Think Pink palette, which is one that they had sent me. And I mentioned right off the bat in my first impressions video that, or at least I think I did, that I wasn't sure if I would even, I think they had a disadvantage already because it was just full of pink eyeshadows, and I like pink eyeshadow, but I'm not super big into pinks, and I was just like, what am I going to do with this? But the more I played with these shadows, the more I was really impressed by them, especially for being such cheap shadows. They perform really nicely. I definitely think I would recommend them. Now, the one thing I will say is that the shimmers are really what I'm not like crazy impressed by. And I wrote some notes on this too that I'm going to go ahead and just read, so I don't go ahead and ramble on, but I wrote, the shimmers are still not the most exciting thing to me compared to many others that I prefer. They're not terrible, but they are just a little bit more of a sheer shadow. And I think that's for me why they were a little bit underwhelming, is because they show up, they apply nicely, but they're just a little bit more of a sheer color. And when I think of like shimmer shadows or metallic shadows, I think of like being super creamy and just pigmented right off the bat, whereas these ones are just a little bit more of a sheer shadow. And I think if you just know that ahead of time right off the bat, you won't be as disappointed. So for me, I'm going into it with the mindset of thinking of shadows that I love, and these are just different. So going back to my notes, I said they're not terrible quality, they're just a little bit more of a sheer shadow, but they can be built up. They do perform very easily and can be used to create some beautiful looks. So I've created some pretty looks with them. And considering the price, I wrote down that I would recommend them. So I really would. I don't think they're bad. I think the price is really great and will work for a lot of people who are on a budget. Because look at these colors. They're so, so pretty. And I have this green look that I did that I thought was really, really pretty and very vibrant and lovely. And so, yeah, I'm a lot more, I would say, impressed with Coastal Scents than I was at first. It's just because I didn't know what to expect, and I was kind of comparing them to other shadows. And so I was a bit underwhelmed, but to be fair, I do think they're pretty good shadows. I think that if you're into colors and you have a, you know, a smaller budget, I think definitely check them out. They're worth checking out. The shimmers are, like I said, a little bit more sheer. They're not like with bam pigmentation, but they can be built up. I'm wearing the white today, and look nicely, and they're easy to work with. They kind of glide on the eyelids. So like I said, I would recommend them. I think they are nice. Moving on, I want to talk about the eyeshadow primer that I also received from Coastal Scents. This is their Step 1 eye primer, and again, at first, in my first impressions video, I wasn't like happy with this eyeshadow primer because it was so like oily and liquidy, and no matter how much I like kneaded it, like I still was getting just kind of like a lot of oil and just very fluid stuff oozing out, and I don't think that's how it was meant to be. So as I've been using, I just always kind of knead it a little bit before I squeeze them out, and it's still a little bit more fluid than I would prefer for an eyeshadow primer. But now that I really have got it fully mixed, when I do use it, I think it works a little bit better. It kind of actually reminds me a little bit of the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion, the formula of it. Of course, the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion is a little bit more thick, not as fluid or oily, but it kind of reminds me of it. And additionally, I've actually been using this in conjunction with a concealer because I feel like this needs something, or at least I do need something where it has a little bit more of a color, more of a base to kind of cancel out my dark circles. And I feel like that helps the not only the eyeshadow primer perform better, but the shadows perform better too, just because they have something to show up more instead of having to compete with my, you know, brown dark skin for my dark circles. So anyways, this is a decent eyeshadow primer, not my favorite, but I did end up getting it to work for me better than at least in my first impressions video. All right, lastly from Coastal Scents, I did receive this nice little brush set. I mean, I really had high hopes for this brush set. I do think it's a nice brush set the way it comes. There's quite a lot of brushes, but there's a lot of brushes in here I didn't use. I know I said I would use these a little bit more throughout this month to really test them out. And I did try to use them a few more times, but just wasn't really loving them. So I didn't use them like the whole last month because I was like, I already just know I don't like these brushes. Now, this one I also think is personal preference, and I talked a lot about this in my first impressions video, so I won't go into full detail here. I feel like I would just prefer you to watch that other video if you don't mind. But I just really am not a fan of synthetic brushes. I personally prefer and love natural hair brushes because I find that they just apply product better. I like the way they products looks on my face when I use natural brushes. I like that they're a little bit more stiff and a little bit more dense, whereas synthetic brushes tend to be a lot softer, which I'm sure a lot of people would like. I'm just weird. And these ones are a little bit, they're just not as dense. I'm trying to think of another word except aside from flimsy, because that's what I kept saying in the first impressions video, but I feel like flimsy just has like a bad sound to it, like it makes it sound like it's cheap or bad, and I don't want to sound like that. It's not that they seem cheap, they're just not as dense as I would prefer. But I actually think a lot of people would like this brush set and would like these brushes. They are very soft, they look really, really nice, they're just not my preference. And so anyways, for that, I am going to go ahead and pass these along, this whole brush set, to my daughter. I think she would actually really enjoy it a lot. So next up is the City Beauty Beyond Mascara, and I did already do a full actual review, not a first impressions, on this mascara. So if you haven't seen that, I will be linking that video in the eye. I definitely encourage you guys to check it out, but I will briefly just give you an overview. I don't want to repeat myself since I have a full video of this. I did receive this early before it launched, so I actually had quite a bit of time to play around with this prior to last month, and by the time I filmed my review, I had already been testing it out, I think for 3 or maybe 4 weeks, and so I already had, you know, was able to do a full review on this mascara. But this is an amazing mascara. This is, like I said, from the brand City Beauty, and it's called the Beyond Mascara, and it's called that because it's actually a volumizing treatment mascara. So it's not just a mascara, it is beyond a mascara. It has ingredients in here that are beneficial to the health and growth of your lashes, which I think is really, really awesome. And I really, really love it. Now I do have an affiliate code with City Beauty. The code is AGAPELOVEGIRL, and that will save you 10% off if you choose to purchase this or anything else from City Beauty. City Beauty is a really wonderful brand that is mostly a skincare brand, but whenever they come out with actual makeup products, the makeup products they create are very skincare ingredient focused, so they are good for you type of makeup products. Like their lipsticks, they have matte lipsticks as well as lip glosses that are supposed to be plumping lip products, but they include ingredients that are good for the health of your lips and the skin on your lips and things like that. And same thing with this mascara. So I think it's really cool that they came up with this mascara that's almost like a lash serum. It has good ingredients to help the growth and length of and health of your lashes, and I think it's really, really amazing. So anyways, I absolutely love, love, love this mascara. All right, this next item is one that I haven't filmed with on my channel yet, but I do have a couple videos from TikTok that I may put up here for you guys to see. So they're not like full tutorials, because on TikTok they're usually about 15-second videos. They're just videos that I've done like makeup looks with really quickly using this palette. So I'll have those to show you, but this is the Conspiracy palette. I was sent this as a gift from my friend Alexandria here on YouTube. I'm gonna link her channel. I definitely would encourage you guys to check her out and subscribe if you enjoy her content. I absolutely love her content. I adore her, and I'm just so thankful that she decided to surprise me with this. It means so, so much, and I've been really enjoying it and loving it this month. Let me show you what it looks like. I've created, like, I feel like this is a palette I used the very most this last month, and really have been loving it. There's probably, let me see, 4 shades in this palette that I haven't used, but for the most part I've used every other shade in this palette, and I've really been enjoying it. I think it's a really fun palette. I like that it has the neutral shades in here, but it has these fun pop of colors. The pop of colors in this palette is what speaks to me the most, and I've really, really been enjoying it. And I do hope, plan and hope to create some video content with this palette for my channel here. And so if you're interested to see this palette in action, I'd love to know if there's any specific colors you'd like to see me use, and be sure to put in tutorials, so let me know. But I've really been loving this palette. I'm so thankful to have received it. So, and if you have it and want to see some content created with it, be sure to let me know. All right, next up I have several products from Covergirl's new Clean Fresh line that they sent me in PR. And I don't have any well, I guess I have some video footage of the foundation in action. Again, this is another TikTok video, so it's not like a full video like that I would post here. And I thought about still doing a video here for YouTube, but then in the end I thought about it, I'm like, I just don't want to. This is a foundation that I actually do not like. I did not enjoy. I really kept trying to use it and trying to make it work, and really trying to see. I like to give products a chance, even if I feel like I know right away I don't like it. I still will keep trying to use it and see if maybe I can apply it differently or try it differently, or there's something I can do to make it work and to change my mind. I love to give products a fair shot, but this one I was just like, you know what, it's not even worth it to me to even make a demo video or anything like that. I'm just going to mention them here, and I mentioned them briefly in my makeup basket this month that I don't like these. And I just don't feel like making content with them. The video I'm going to show you from TikTok is kind of quick, so I apologize for that. And I feel like the only reason it looks good in that video is mainly because the concealer I put on top of it, which was a CoverGirl concealer, but that concealer had some really nice coverage, and it's just a really good concealer. And I feel like if my skin looks good in that video, it's because of the concealer, not because of this foundation. But anyways, let me really quickly read to you a little bit about this foundation, and then I'm going to kind of go into why I don't really like it. So this is the Clean Fresh Skin Milk Nourishing Foundation. And it says Clean Fresh Skin Milk Foundation is formulated without formaldehydes, phthalates, parabens, sulfates, and talc. This lightweight, nourishing liquid foundation gives your skin the moisture boost it craves with a delicate infusion of coconut milk and soothing aloe. You'll experience a glowing, dewy finish that lasts all day, blurring imperfections and creating a more even skin tone. Get sheer, buildable coverage with 14 expertly designed shade adaptable formulas to match 99% of skin tones and all undertones. So anyways, to be honest, like this is not a foundation. It's labeled as a foundation, but it's not a foundation. It's basically like a glorified tinted moisturizer in my opinion, and normally that wouldn't bother me. I don't mind tinted moisturizers or even BB creams. Like I feel like even this is less than a BB cream. A BB cream would give more coverage, and so really honestly glorified tinted moisturizer. And anyways, what I was gonna say is that doesn't necessarily bother me because if you know me, you know I don't necessarily prefer full coverage. I don't mind lightweight coverage. So this being light coverage didn't bother me. I do think it is definitely sheer coverage. It can be buildable, and I do agree with the fact that it said it'll give you a little bit more of a even skin tone. Is that what it said? Yeah, it'll creating a more even skin tone. So I feel like when I did use it, it did give my face a little bit more of an even skin tone look, but I still didn't really like it for a few different reasons. One, there are only 14 shades, and I know a lot of people will probably be up in arms about that, but I think they kind of get away with it for the reason that this is so sheer. And so these colors are kind of supposed to kind of match to a lot of different people regardless of your shade, but that's not quite accurate, I don't think, because I tried light medium, and that's why I have 2 of them here. They sent me all 14 shades, which I didn't need, but whatever. I tried light medium, and that was a little bit too light for me, and then I tried just medium on its own, and that one was almost a little bit orangey looking on me. So whenever I use this, I did end up using both of them together, and that was a better match for me. So even though it's sheer, it still is like mess. You know what I mean? It's not going to color match that great. So I needed 2 of them to match me. But let me look at my notes. Oh, I wrote down I don't like the texture of this this foundation. It feels, I don't know how to quite explain the texture of this foundation. It feels kind of waxy in a sense, like it's a waxy moisturizer, if that even makes sense. Not thick, but just waxy. I don't know how else to explain it. Hopefully someone else who's tried this understands that. I don't know how else to explain it. Sometimes I felt like I noticed it had those white pigment spots. Now, do you guys remember when CoverGirl released that one foundation? I can't even remember what it was, but they said it to everybody, and a lot of people experienced the white pigment spots. I feel like sometimes with this foundation, I would get those white pigment spots. So I don't know what the deal is with it. Like CoverGirl, you need to upgrade your machines or your mixing machines. I don't know what's going on that you guys always have pigment spots in your foundations, but you guys gotta fix that. So I don't know what that's about. I thought that was a little bit interesting. Also, okay, this claims to be like give a dewy finish. It did not give me a dewy finish. It also is supposed to hydrate your skin. Like I don't understand how this is supposed to be a hydrating or a moisture boosting foundation, because I have dry skin and I feel like this always looked dry on me. Like I actually, even though I have dry skin, if you guys know me, you know this already, but even though I have dry skin, I don't necessarily like dewy foundations. I don't really care for super matte foundations either, but I like my foundation to set and dry down. So I wasn't necessarily bothered that it wasn't a dewy foundation, but the fact that it's supposed to be a moisturizing foundation and give your skin a moisture boost, that bothered me because I felt like that it dried out. It definitely made my skin look dry. Like, yes, my skin's dry, but it made my skin look dry. So I wrote down that it doesn't stay feeling hydrated or even dewy. It made my skin feel dry and look dry, just like I said. It clings to any bit of dry patches and even in the crevices of my nose. I took some photos of it one day so you guys can hopefully see what I was seeing and why I didn't like it. I'm just like, I cannot. And then the very last day I tried to use it again. I'm like, I'm gonna give this another go and see if maybe I can get it to work. I had really exfoliated my skin and moisturized my skin and prepped my skin, and I put it on and it still managed to look crusty and just dry and flaky on my skin. So I was like, you know what, no, I ended up taking that off and starting my makeup over because I just couldn't. I did not like this foundation. I feel like if you have dry, not oily, oh, just normal, if you have normal skin, maybe if you have oily skin, I don't know. If you have normal skin and you don't really have any dry patches and your skin's already pretty nice, you don't have much you need to cover, you might like this foundation. It might be something that works for you. But for me personally, I just didn't like it. I didn't find it hydrating. I felt like it looked dry on me. It didn't look good. And so I kept seeing a lot of people saying they really enjoyed this foundation, and I was really baffled by it. But I actually was just watching yesterday Jen of Jen Loves Reviews do her you know, favorite and fails countdown thing, and this one I was really surprised that this was kind of higher up on her list of more towards favorites, things she really likes, and she said she liked it. And I was thinking, that's so weird, like I don't like this foundation. But anyways, then she got to a point where she talked about Samantha March having a reaction, which I actually saw her video as well, to this, and so she wanted to look through the ingredients to see why maybe she had a reaction, and had found out that there is actual salt, interestingly enough, in this foundation. And I think that, I don't know how normal that is for a foundation, like salt in a foundation. That seems very strange. But also salt in a foundation that's supposed to be hydrating. Like salt is the opposite of hydrating. Salt dries things up. It dries, like if you're eating something salty, there's a reason why you get thirsty, because it dries out your mouth and it dries you up. So I don't understand why something that's supposed to be hydrating would have salt in it. That's gonna take, I feel like that's gonna take away moisture, and it makes sense to me now, knowing that, why I was having these issues and why my skin felt and looked dry with this foundation, because I feel like it's due to that salt in there, which I don't know what the, you know, how much salt is in it or whatever, but clearly it affected me to where it made my skin look horrible, in all honesty. So I cannot recommend this foundation. There's a lot of people who said they did like it, like Tati, I watched her review on it, she loved this foundation. A lot of people like this, but for me, no, and especially if you have dry skin, no, and especially if you have problematic or acne prone skin like Samantha deals with, obviously definitely stay away too, because what Jen was saying, if you haven't seen that video, I'm sure a lot of you probably already have, but was saying it's like salt in an open wound. Obviously that's going to sting. It's a reason why Samantha was having issues with it. And so yeah, I think for those reasons, like this is just not even worth it. I mean, it's not even a good foundation, doesn't even provide good coverage. So it's like, what? No, it's just a fail. And sorry, that was a total rant, but I just, yeah, I had to. All right, moving on to something a little bit positive, and this again is from the same line, their Clean Fresh line. Apparently these are not a new product, but maybe these are new shades for their Clean Fresh line, because other people have talked about they've tried their lip oils before. I actually have not tried the Covergirl lip oils before, so these were new to me for sure. And I will say I actually really enjoy these quite a bit. I got all the shades. I think there's a transparent one that I'm missing, but I think that one I have in my purse, because I really like these a lot. Now each of them do have a little bit of color to them, but so I want to kind of say that I really like these a lot, but I kind of feel like they're a little bit more on the okay category. I would recommend them, but I feel like if you have drier, or maybe not necessarily just dry lips, but cracked dry lips, I wouldn't recommend the colored ones, just because that when I use these, because I have dry lips as well, I have dry skin, dry eyelids, dry lips, and a lot of times my lips get really cracked or flaky, and I noticed when I was using the ones with color, it would almost stain inside the cracks of my lips, and so like the color would go on evenly, but as the color faded and wore away, it would stay like stained in the little cracks of my lips and didn't look very flattering. So I would say that if you have more dry lips or dry cracked lips, pick up the transparent one, and so you don't have to worry about the weird color, because aside from the stain, the coloring, I do find that these are very moisturizing. They smell really nice. Like, let me think, it's almost like a fruity but floral scent as well. I don't know what exactly it is or how to place it, but I think it's actually really like a really yummy, delightful scent. And they feel very creamy, very nourishing. I actually had one on, but they do kind of fade. I would say, like, how long have I had this on? Maybe an hour I've had this on, and it's already like kind of off my lips. There's a little bit of residue, like I could feel it, but it's for the most part off my lips. So the last about an hour, I would say. I had on this one, Swipe Ripe 140. I'm going to put it on again now just so you guys can see it in action, because I don't really have much footage of these in action, so I'm just going to show you right now. This is the color. So even though they look really vibrant on here, the color is actually pretty minimal, but it does give a little bit of color. Just a little bit. They're very sheer. See? It's pretty, but that color definitely, you saw what it was before. It definitely kind of fades away and wears away. But they feel so very nice, and even though they're a lip oil, they almost feel kind of like a balm, so it's got a little bit of thickness to it. It's not too oily. I've tried some lip oils where it kind of just runs, all is too oily, and I feel like it will bleed in your lip lines and things like that. This one's not too oily. It almost goes on your lips feeling like a balm. So it's very nice, and they feel good, they smell good. The little bit of color is nice, again, if you don't have cracked lips. So I really enjoyed these, but yeah, I definitely think that the clear one's more so my favorite, just because I do deal with such cracked, dry lips at times, but the color is pretty when my lips are behaving. Okay, I have 2 more products from this line. The next one I want to talk about is their cream blush. I only opened one, even though they sent me all 4 or 5 shades. Because I'm not super big into cream products and I didn't want to test them out just for the sake of seeing what colors they were. So I just grabbed the one that looked like it would be a color that I would like and wear, and tested it out. And I will tell you that I actually end up really, really liking this quite a bit. I will have a video demo of this in action. I did actually show this in my little TikTok video as well. But anyways, I have a video showing this in action. I think that video will go up after this one, because I want this video to go up first. But I will say I was really surprised pleasantly that I like this, because I'm not super big into cream products, but I think it's really, really nice. They're very pigmented. Now, it comes in a squeezy tube, which I actually really appreciate, because then you can apply it however you want. You can use your finger, you can use a sponge. My personal preference is with a duo fiber brush, which I will show in that video. But it's nice if you just kind of tap it on your hand first and then go in with it. You don't want to put this on right away, because it does have quite a bit of pigmentation. Now, I don't know about all the rest of them, but this color Butterfly specifically has a little bit of a shimmery sheen to it. But I feel like once you put it on the lid, at least the way that I apply it with the duo fiber brush, that sheen, that shimmer isn't as noticeable. So if you're someone who doesn't like a shimmery blush and that turns you away from this, don't worry, the shimmer is not super obvious, but it does get a nice, natural, beautiful glow. And depending on how you apply, you can get like a really good color, or you can go on with a light, more natural look, which I, again, will demonstrate in the video I've been mentioning. But this is very long lasting. I think it goes on really well even if you have powders on your face. I would recommend putting this on before powders, but there were a couple times when I was testing this out where I forgot and put my powder on first and then put this on over it, and it didn't disturb the makeup underneath. It's really beautiful, very long wearing, and I enjoyed it quite a bit more than I thought I would. So if you're into cream blushes, this is a really good one. If you're not someone who's super big into cream products, I mean, I wouldn't say go buy this, because you don't want to buy something you already know you don't like, but if you were wanting to maybe test something out, I think this is a good one. I really enjoyed it, and I've never really liked cream products for the face before, so this kind of changed my mind. All right, lastly from the Clean Fresh line is the Cooling Glow Stick. I again only opened one shade just because I'm again not into cream products and didn't want to open too many, so I just wanted to open the one to try. I picked the shade So Guilty 400, and again, this is another product that surprised me. I ended up really liking it a lot. Now this one does seem a lot more fragranced. It kind of reminds me of like a florally baby powder scent, so I don't really love the scent, but it doesn't stay lingering, which is nice. It says, interestingly enough, it's like a cooling glow stick. I don't know if I really ever noticed like a cooling sensation with it, so I don't really understand why it would need to be cooling. I don't really get it. But anyways, I really liked it. I feel like it gives like this very gorgeous glow, but it's like it can be a beaming glow, but it's also a very natural glow. It truly is one of those like products that give you that lit from within glow. I don't even know if you can see it here, but I will demo this in that video I mentioned previously, and you'll see it in action there, and just how stunning it is. It can be built up, which is nice. So if you want a more natural glow, you can have it, but you can also build it up. It builds very, very nicely on each other for that beautiful sheen. What's nice about this is that, okay, but I feel like this emulsifies onto your hand really, really well. Like I can touch it and just rub, and it turns so soft. But when you go to apply it, it doesn't pick up on itself or pick up on the product underneath it or disturb anything underneath it. You can just apply this, and it applies so beautifully, and it doesn't stay feeling creamy or wet or dewy. It dries down almost instantly, so you want to kind of tap it out fairly quickly. But once it's down, it stays, it doesn't budge, it dries down really, really beautifully, and I don't know, I've just really been enjoying it. It's like a really easy cream product to use. I would say I did try putting it straight on my cheek, and I didn't really care for it that way. I also tried applying it with this sponge, and I didn't necessarily care for it that way either. I really think the best way is to do what I've been kind of demoing this whole time, is just swipe a little bit on with your finger, and then gently just tap it out where you need to, and then build it up as you need to. And it just goes on, blends in seamlessly, dries down beautifully, and just See, there's that glow. So pretty. So I was really impressed by this cream highlighter. All right, you guys, let's really get into it. So the next product I have to tell you about is the Urban Decay New Wired palette. Now, I did do a first impressions on my channel, and if you haven't seen it, I definitely would encourage you guys to check it out. You guys need to check out that video. I did a demo of this palette using it, and I also did a lot of comparisons of this to the Urban Decay Electric palette. If you haven't seen it, I definitely encourage you guys to check it out. And I had hoped, at least at the time I filmed that, I was thinking that I would probably create some more content with this palette, have a few more videos and things like that to post with this palette on my channel here. But after playing around with it, I was just like, no, I don't think I want to waste my time creating content with this palette because I just don't like it. I really don't. I really tried. I do have a couple other looks that I'm going to post on the screen here. Tried using this palette, and I actually tried to use it a couple more times. And when I used it, I got frustrated and wiped my makeup off. I just couldn't. Same thing with the foundation. Like I was like, I had to start over. But the last time I tried to use this, I was like, I really want to give it a go. I want to, you know, create a few more looks. And I was just so frustrated with it that I was like, I can't use this. It's just not good. And the thing is, like, it makes me kind of sad. I was really excited for this palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I did talk all about the things I liked about it in that first impressions video, why I thought it was a really neat, beautiful looking palette. But when it comes down to it, the quality is just not the same. Now I do feel like this is like supposed to be the new version, or you know, the more modern version of the electric palette, which the electric palette is discontinued. It's no longer available, so they made this as a new version that's available that has a few of the same shadows but a few things that are different. And I really wish that they would have kept the same quality that the electric palette was, because that had good quality, good pigmentation. These shadows are just so insanely chalky and so hard to work with. And I know that they are pressed pigments. Some of them are pressed pigments, and pressed pigments are notoriously difficult to work with. But I'm not super like unfamiliar with pressed pigments and things like that, and I'm not a noob when it comes to eyeshadows. And I had a hard time with this. So I feel like if you are new to makeup, you would have a hard time with this. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe I still have much more to learn, which I do have a lot to learn, but I had a difficult time with these. I felt like they didn't apply well. There's a look I did, and I started out doing it, and I had to do it completely different because the colors just weren't showing up. They just weren't blending into each other. Even when I tried to do it where I was just patting shadow on and packing it on and not doing as much blending, it was still very difficult. So a very simple look that should have taken me maybe 15 minutes to create took me about 35 or so minutes because of how difficult it was to get the shadows to perform, to get them to show up, to get them to blend. It just, and I was just like, this is not worth it. This is not easy to use. I'm not going to continue using it, and I'm not going to create content with it. It just is not great. So I was really disappointed with this palette. And I'm sad because I think some of the shadows are so pretty, like the colors are pretty. This one especially, Current, such a beautiful green. It shows up really blue on camera, but it's a really beautiful like emerald green. It's so pretty. And then there's just a lot of other shadows in here that just look so pretty and like they have so much potential, but they just don't really perform. They're just very disappointing. And so I didn't like this palette, and I am somewhat skeptical of those who said that it was a good palette and they liked it, because in my experience this is not a good palette, and I would not recommend it. And I just would like to say that I don't want to put doubt into your mind towards people who have said this is a good palette. Maybe they do like it, maybe they've been able to make it work. I'm not a professional, so you know, maybe I just don't know how to use those shadows, but I just kind of found it interesting that these were people who were brand new to receiving PR from Urban Decay, and that's always an exciting thing, but I don't think it should affect your ability to give a real, genuinely honest review. So I just, sorry to say it, had to say it. Yeah. Next up, I just really quickly want to talk about the Anastasia Rivera palette. This came in my Beautylish Lucky Bag, and so I know it's not a new palette, but it was new to me, and I was really excited to play around with it because it's a palette that I don't have. And I did create a few looks, nothing on video I don't think. I think I did do one TikTok video, so I may put that here, but at least I'll have a couple photos of the different looks I created with this palette. I really enjoyed this palette a lot. I did not play around, unfortunately, with the pink or the purple, which I think I've heard people say are notoriously the more difficult shadows in this palette, so I can't really speak to those. But all the other shadows I tried and used I thought were really good. Very standard Anastasia Beverly Hills quality. A little bit more on the drier side, a little bit more on the, like, they kick up quite a bit of like fallout and things like that, but really beautiful. My favorite shade in the palette, well, actually I have two, is the shade Cabana right here, which is a little bit of a mustardy matte shade, and then this shade Inheritance, which is a beautiful metallic gold. This gold shade here for some reason makes my eyes look so green and just pop so pretty. I'll have the photos here, you guys can see, like, look at the way it makes my eyes look. I was like blown away all day that my eyes, it almost looked like I was wearing contacts, but I wasn't. So I was like, it's this gold, I think. But anyways, those are my two favorite shadows from the palette. Really beautiful, really enjoy it. I heard a couple people say that they've seen this palette floating around at TJ Maxx or Marshall's and if it was worth it. And I would say that if this is a color scheme that you like, and you would see yourself using it and you want it, I think getting it at the TJ Maxx price or the Marshall's price, which is probably a lot more affordable than buying it the full, like, actual retail price, I would say go ahead and get it. I think it's a really nice palette. I've enjoyed using it so far. I'm going to continue using it because I'd like to create a few more looks with it and play around with it a little bit more. And if you guys want to see some content with this, this could be a good Throwback Thursday tutorial video. But yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, I know it's not a new palette, but it was new to me, and I wanted to share that I really have enjoyed using this palette. So then next up was the Juvia's Place Afrique palette, which again is not really a new palette, but one that was new to me that I purchased myself and wanted to play around with. So I only created a couple looks with this. I don't even know if I really have photos of the looks I created with this or not. I don't remember. If I have some photos, I'll put them here. Again, don't have video content of this one, unfortunately, to replay for you guys, but it's a beautiful palette. Same typical Juvia's Place quality. Really enjoyed it. So I want to play with this some more because it's got some really fun colors in here. But anyways, yeah, tested that out and really enjoyed it as well. Just kind of speeding past that because I know it's kind of old news, but just letting you know what I have, what I've been testing out, and if you want to see some content with it, let me know. Next thing I have is, again, another product that's not new to the market, but new to me, and that's the Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Powder. Now, this is a waterproof setting powder, and I really liked it. Now, here's what it looks like. I looked it up because I wasn't sure if when I got it, like, there's different shades, if this is something that adds color or coverage, because it does have, like, this flesh tone color to it, but it is a translucent powder, and it doesn't really add any coverage, so this is like a one color suits all kind of a thing, I guess. I don't really know if it'll work for a lot of people, but I know it does go on translucent for me. It doesn't really add color or coverage, but anyways, I actually really enjoy this. It's a pretty finely milled powder. It's not too heavy, and I'm picky with my powders, you guys, and so I really like this. I typically used it with a really fluffy but somewhat dense brush to kind of set under my eyes and kind of in my T-zone, and I didn't like fully do a waterproof test with this, but last month was a little bit rough for me. There were quite a few emotional moments last month where I cried and I had my makeup on and I was wearing this, and I noticed when I looked in the mirror my makeup wasn't totally ruined, and I think it was due to this powder. I think this powder really helped. So overall, I really like it. I haven't really put it to like a full kind of like test in the sense of, like I said, waterproof or doing a wear test or anything like that, but when I used it, I really have been enjoying it, and I kind of think that waterproof claim is pretty legit. All right, and lastly, I have some products from a brand called She Knows that I won in a giveaway, actually. Now, the first one I mentioned in my makeup basket that I don't really have. I didn't really get a chance to put this to like a wear test, so I can't give it a review in the sense of like how it wears and does it prolong like my makeup or anything like that, but I will say that I do like it. So this is the 24 Karat Elixir Serum Foundation. It's supposed to be for those with dry or very dry skin, and it has anti-aging properties. Well, it says it's for all skin types, but it says skin type dry or very dry, and it has anti-aging properties. Anyways, this is what it looks like. It has gold flakes in it. It is a dropper primer because it is like, you know, a serum. And I will say I really do enjoy it. I think it's really nice. I do have dry skin, and I feel like it feels really great on my skin, but I don't have really much more to say about it than that because I really didn't do any kind of wear test with this, and that's why it's in my makeup basket again this month. I'm hoping to maybe do some wear tests with it this month, but I have really enjoyed it. It has some really interesting ingredients in it. It has aloe juice, it has glycerin, sodium hyaluronate, I can never say it right, papaya extract, which I thought was really interesting, green papaya extract, pineapple extract, and those are the things I really noticed. But I do also think I recall Jen from Jen Loves Reviews mentioning this primer and saying it was one that she really enjoyed. So I mean, I feel like I really respect her recommendations because she is so good at ingredient analysis. So if she says this is a good primer, I believe her. So I'm going to keep using it. I have enjoyed it. I like the way it feels on my skin, on my dry skin. And so yeah, that's the extent of what I have to say about it. Okay, and then I was sent some lip liners and their collagen lip gloss. The lip liners are just kind of like standard liners. I think they're really pretty. I did demo one of these in a video. Actually, I think I was wearing it in my video where I was testing out the Wired palette. I do have a little demo I'll show you of one of the colors. I think the color I was wearing is Stirring Secrets, but it's just like a standard lip liner. The only thing I don't like about it is that the name is on the box, but it's not on the pencil. So I'm trying to keep the boxes so I can remember the shade names. I don't really like the fact that I won't know what the shade names are once I take them out of the box. So that's kind of the only downside to those. And then the She Knows Collagen Lip Gloss. This is a clear gloss, but if you can't really tell, but I might have some footage I'll insert up close. This has some gold flakes in it as well, and I think that's really neat. Now, I haven't really noticed anything as far as this being like lip plumping. I'm not sure if it's actually lip plumping, but it says it's a collagen gloss. It feels really nice on the skin. I like that. I'm gonna go and put some on too, even though I have the other CoverGirl one on. This one has a yummy scent too. It's almost like strawberry bubblegum, or maybe something more sophisticated would be like sangria or something. Maybe, I don't know, but I think of strawberry bubblegum. It smells really yummy. And it feels really nice on the lips too. It's a very like non-sticky gloss. It's a little bit more on the thicker side, which I actually really appreciate. And because it is a little bit more of a thicker gloss, it is a lot more long lasting, and I just really been enjoying it. The one thing I will say though is that this gloss, I feel like it does cause some bleeding. So that day that I wore the lip liner and then I actually topped it with the gloss, later on after I was done filming, I looked close in the mirror and I noticed there was color bleeding out into my lip line, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I would not pair this gloss with something colorful underneath because I feel like it's going to cause some feathering or bleeding in your lip lines, unfortunately. So for that, I would say don't wear it with a lip liner. Which is weird because lip liners are supposed to prevent the bleeding. I don't know. I thought that was really weird that happened, but on its own, I absolutely have been enjoying it. So anyways, let me look at my notes to make sure that was all the products. And now that my throat is super dry, you can hear it, it's getting raspy. Yeah, that's everything. That was everything that I tested out last month and my updated thoughts and opinions on them after having tried them out for the full month. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and hearing my thoughts on these products as well as being able to see some of them in action. I know this month's video was a little bit different because there was a little less of the replay, unfortunately, but I do hope you guys enjoyed at least seeing some of the photos and the little TikTok videos and things like that, so you can kind of get an idea of how these products look and wear and performed and things like that. So I would also really love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these products. If any of these are products that you have tried yourself, that you like or dislike or agree with me or disagree, whatever the case may be, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these products. It's always really interesting to hear from you whether you agree with me or disagree with me. So we are all very different. We have different skin types as well as different preferences. So what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. And it's nice for everybody who comes here and sees this video as well as checks out the comments, can hear a little bit of a variety of opinions on these products. So please don't ever hesitate to share your thoughts and opinions, and maybe you might have some tips to share with me on how to make products work a little bit better and things like that. So I always love hearing from you guys. But anyways, with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah!